And now, Fairfax Breakfast Club with your host, Basil Lemba.
All right, welcome to the Fairfax Breakfast Club show. My name is Basil Lemba and I will be your host. The Fairfax Breakfast Club is a weekly program in which we bring you valuable and workable know-how you can use in order to improve your networking and grow your business. We always start with a quote. Today's quote is in alignment with the networking basics number 2, which is allow them expression. And the quote is, being listened to is very important. Otherwise, why bother to speak to begin with? The question then becomes, how do you get others to listen to you? Many techniques have been and are used. For long-term experience, our long-term experience tells us there is a conclusive approach that will get you listened to every time. So then, what could be that secret, mysterious, or miraculous technique? Not really a technique, in fact, but rather a combination of good manners and common sense. Here it is. If you want to be listened to, then listen to the other person attentively first. There you have it. I'll quit for the day. Muscular as it is, you have it. I'm very happy to announce that today on our show we have a very special guest, a public speaking coach, but also a 4-time Emmy Award-winning journalist. And that is none other than Mrs. Jan Fox.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. You made it sound like, ooh, and then what, you get me. Okay, so thank you.
Well, we're glad we got you.
You're a movie star out here doing this. Look at you.
Well, I try not to be, but it doesn't work, see?
Oh, come on, no, you're really very entertaining at this. So good for you.
Thank you. We're glad to have you.
Thank you, my pleasure.
We know you have a fascinating career over the television. We'll cover that in a second show. But tell us what you're doing today.
What I'm doing today, well, think about it, Basil. I was older and needed to retire, but I couldn't retire. I didn't know I needed to do something. I can't knit, I can't sit still and crochet. I don't know what retired people do, but I can't do that. And so I kept getting asked to speak. You know, when you're on television all those years, you get asked to speak to this luncheon or MC that event or speak over here. And I kept getting asked to speak. And I kept getting asked to coach because I've coached a lot of people along the way. Well, I had to start a business. So I started a business called Fox Talks, to which my dear husband says, oh, yes, she does. So he said it was very fitting that would be the name of my company. I don't think that was a compliment. But, so I started the company, and sure enough, I'm doing a lot of speaking and I'm doing a lot of coaching. And I love both of it. But if you think about it, think about being on television for 30 years. And before that, a college professor, and before that, a kindergarten teacher. What do I know how to do? All I know how to do is talk. Okay. So I had to find something that might pay me a little retirement spending money to actually make a difference somewhere. And all that was helping other people speak better. Okay, good. So that's how it all happened.
Very good. Excellent.
And what I do it in a couple of ways. One is I coach, and I work with people who are what I call emergers. They know they want to be better, but they just can't quite crack the surface of the water. Gotcha. So I tweak them. I don't say, you need a major overhaul here. We're going to have to work on your self-confidence. Why do you fear public speaking? What's in your psyche that makes you not be able to do it? I don't do any of that. I just say, all right, let's carve out a speech here. Let's carve out what you're trying to say to your audience. And sometimes, I'll show you a picture sometime, I tear it up in little pieces of paper and we write down just elements of the speech. Okay. Then we lay them all out like sticky notes on the table, and then we move them around until they have an outline. And when they have that outline, all of a sudden, there is just this huge relief because they don't have to think about what they're going to say. They know what's on every sticky note. As soon as they see the topic, they know how to speak to that. Then I have them say a few lines, And all I do is just polish a little of this and polish a little of that. And it might be something like, all right, you have to look at me when you speak. Somebody told us all years ago to not look at the people, to look above their heads, and then we don't engage them.
Yes, that's right.
And so people have to be reintroduced to engaging an audience. And so I talk about that, and then it might be, what do you do with your hands? You know, there are people who look like chickens, and people who look like penguins, and people who look like the standing target, and so whatever. And I just say, let's just do this. Shake hands with me, Basil. Shake hands. Okay, now when you let go of that, see how it's just kind of sitting like that? Maybe a little, okay. All you do is point over here, you point over there, you point over there, you welcome the crowd in, you talk about me. It just works. And all it does is just follow your words. Your hand goes where your words go, or pointing to what your words are talking about. And all of a sudden they're freed up. And the fear goes away, and I never even had to say one time, we're going to build your self-confidence. I just polish something and they feel better about themselves. In fact, one guy I was working with, he said, gosh, Foxy, this is like therapy. Because they do. They've been held back by something. I don't care what it is. Let's just get it out. And that's what I do. So I love the coaching. The second thing I do is I do it in a big group. And I like to make my sessions, breakout sessions or keynote speeches. Everybody thinks that to put public speaking as a keynote speech is totally boring. Well, actually, if you do it in a big interactive way, it can actually be a lot of fun. Try not to picture that. They're an oxymoron, public speaking fun, but really it can happen. And so I like to have a lot of action. And I actually brought a little clip. I can show you a breakout session. It's not the most beautiful video, but you'll see how there's, from the very moment I start talking, I'm with that crowd. I'm talking to them and joking with them. And that's how I like to have people talk to each other, or how I like to have them present. So I had to model it when I was doing this breakout session. You want to see it?
Yeah, sure.
Let's have a very short.
Absolutely. Let's run that clip over here so everybody can see it.
My job here today is to make you love public speaking. You ready for it?
Yes.
All right, okay. Now, what's the number 1 rule about public speaking? If you have to make a presentation, if you have to make a talk, what's the number 1 rule?
Go to the bathroom first.
That's the number 1 real rule, besides go to the bathroom and, what? Prepare, practice all that, yeah.
Know your
What?
audience.
Oh, know my audience. You're all my best friends. I love you all. What else?
Eye contact.
Eye contact. You guys, why are you here? You guys know everything already. The number 1 thing you have to remember when you step in front of that audience is to start with a bang. Now, I literally get to do that. I want to say beforehand, I am not a gun person. I watched 590 murder stories the first year I was in D.C. in 1990. 590 murders, crack wars. So I am so not a gun person. But it just so happens that a young 16-year-old girl dropped a bang story in my lap. I want you to see it. That is Tori Nonaka. Tori Nonaka is 16 years old. She lives and works over here in Manassas and Chantilly. I could stand here for 3 days and show you videos of Tori Nonaka aiming that pistol, and the little targets go whap, 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 one after the other. Now, why am I impressed by that? Precision. Exact, oh, you get cake pop. Exact word. Precision. Okay?
Okay, you saw it. Very good.
I didn't tell her to say go to the bathroom first. That's not in the script, okay?
Okay.
But could you see when they answered a question right? I handed them a cake pop, a little treat.
That's right.
And
Yeah, I saw that.
And so the whole day, anytime somebody said something right, they got a cake pop. And finally I asked some people, okay, so what did you think of this? What are you thinking about now? And this woman says, I want a cake pop. And so it became fun. But they still got all the tips. And everybody who comes to my big sessions, even my coaching clients as well, they get this little book. It's called Speak Tweaks.
All
Remember I said I polish, I don't do overhauls? And it's 5 steps to stellar speaking, and it has 5 practice plans in it.
Okay.
So they walk out not with a brochure about Jan Fox, they walk out with a little book that fits right in the pocket, and they can practice it. And you know, some of it is you have to talk to yourself. But Bluetooth saved us in our cars because we can go right ahead and talk to ourselves and practice in the car, and nobody thinks we're crazy.
Okay.
So there you have it. It has the fear and loathing of public speaking, the Fox Flops test in it. And I say, if you check off 2 of these, like fear of embarrassing yourself or appearing foolish or not knowing what to do with your hands or not knowing where to look, if you check off 2, you just need a few small tweaks and read the book.
Okay.
If you check off 3 to 6, keep reading and do all the practice plans in the book. 5 minutes twice a day.
Okay.
And then if you check off 7 to 10, this is the only commercial in the whole book. It says, call Fox for coaching. Okay, you need help. So, and then another thing I do is I have a more motivational type speech, which is called the power of tweaks, micro actions to maximize your impact. Because we all work on getting a big strategic plan. My favorite is to buy all the diet books or make a big goal. And then what happens?
I don't know.
Nothing. We go like this. Where do I start? Where do I start? Where do I start? So I make people step back 5 or 6 steps, and then there's a starting point. So I have 3 R's in that speech that lead to personal empowerment, and they are resourcefulness. I show them how to do that. Resilience. I show them why that's important. And then resolve. A lot of people talk about resilience and resourcefulness, but my favorite is resolve.
Less talked about, as a matter of fact, but so fundamental. Because if resolve is not there, nothing's sticking.
Exactly.
And you're wavering and you never get there, and it's easy to go another direction or stop or whatever altogether, and let's resolve it in place.
I call it insidious stuckness. We get in a place and can't get out, and then when we get out, part 1 of our big plan, and I think people need plans, strategic plans and goals, don't get me wrong, but now I've got to go to goal 1, and there's no way to get off the dime because from here to goal 1 is too far. So I say, just do a little mini test. Try something, try anything that you haven't tried before. And I bet you 10 to 1, action starts. Then if you try another tweak, you've got more action. And then by the time you do a half a dozen of those, you're at your goal and can keep going to goal number 2.
Absolutely.
But it's very difficult to get out of that stuckness. And then once you get out of it, like you say, people seem to think that resolve means I'm going to resolve to do this no matter what. Well, sometimes it's not the right thing. So I say you back your resolve with resilience, meaning I resolve to roll with this punch to get exactly where I need to be and not let up. If you say, okay, I'll settle here, you get less. So that's what I mean by it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Very good. Now I have a question for you. What is your biggest challenge? What would you consider your biggest challenge
My
in your
biggest
whole
challenge?
life as a person?
And my whole life as a person? Do you see this gray hair? How much time do you have to think back all those years to see what
We have a split of a second.
A second, okay. My biggest,
Or at least in the business.
oh, in the business.
Because
okay.
we're going to do another show where we're going to go over your life.
Right.
Let's leave it for the business now.
Well, you know, when I first started, I was a kindergarten teacher. You didn't have any challenges except kind of keeping order, but you got hugs every day, so it was worth it.
That's true.
And then I was kind of discovered as, I guess, a more open style classroom teacher, and I became an associate professor at a college teaching teachers. Once again, talking. And so I had a few challenges there, but because of developing curriculum and evaluating programs, that sort of thing. But I had this person who said to me, you would do great on television, and so I broke into television. That's a long story. But it was really hard because I had no training. And I was also 34 years old at the time other people like Jane Pauley were having to leave air by 30 because they were too old. So I think I had to just work and not worry about the glass ceiling, not worry about what the boss said. If he handed me licorice, I hate licorice, but I stuck it in my pocket and pretended I ate it. And so I just made my goal longevity in the business, not headbutting. Once in a great while, there would be something I felt like I really needed to stand up for, and I would do that. But unless they were asking me to do something unethical or illegal, or that I knew would turn viewers off, and I had to do a couple of those in my day, I just worked. I just did what was in front of me, a tweak at a time. If I didn't know how to do it, I would ask somebody. So one day I said to the executive producer, he said, "Wow, Fox, you've lasted a long time here. A lot of other people have been shown the back door." And I said, "I know, it's been a whole lot of years." And he said, "How do you do it?" I said, "I guess I just keep my nose to the grindstone and they can't find me." And he said, "You watch out, they can shoot you in the back." But they never did. They never did. In fact, I'll tell the number. When I was 62, 4 years ago, I had a little photographer who was tough. My husband got a new HD TV. Looked like my great Aunt Marion. Well, I mean, why do I want to keep doing this? And then one day I was parked by the Channel 7 truck, and this beautiful, gorgeous blonde got out of the truck. And the editor said, "You know who that is, don't you?" I said, "I have no idea." He said, "Pamela Brown." I said, "Woo, who's Pamela Brown?" And he said, "Phyllis George's daughter." Well, you weren't here this time, but Phyllis George is maybe almost my age, and she was a Miss America way back, and I'm working with her daughter. So now think about it. Funky little photographer, look like Aunt Marion, and I'm standing out on the street corner beside Phyllis George's daughter. I said, "I've got to retire." So I went to the bosses and I said, "Look, I feel like it's time to go." And one of them said to me, I swear, he said, No, don't go. We can put you on the webcam." Do you know what the webcam is? The biggest close-up you ever saw in your life ever. I said, I don't think so. And then they kind of tried to rearrange a couple of things. I said, "Look, I've done it all. I've interviewed many celebrities. I've interviewed presidents. I've helped people save money. I've put people in jail because they cheated other people. I helped invent the car seat checks for children to keep them riding safely. I've seen too many murders in my day. I've seen every water main break known to man. I've covered every snowstorm for 20 years, so I've done it all. So really, let a young person have this job." And I said, and I want a cake that does not come from a grocery store. I want a fancy bakery cake, and you know, you need to treat me nicely because I've been a loyal and faithful servant, and I want to say goodbye on all my shows. And you know what? I got the most gorgeous chocolate cake. I got to say goodbye on all of my shows. I got to sit there with silver hair and let people see that silver-haired people can still do that. And they took care of me, and I have great respect for how they let me leave in dignity.
Very good.
They did. And I got to go out the front door.
Good,
so
good.
it was great.
Okay. What would you consider your biggest success then?
My biggest success, I think that my successes aren't about having Emmys or about interviewing Dolly Parton or President Clinton or big things that people would think of as successes. But I did a show in Maine many years ago, in Portland, Maine, when I was at the NBC station, and it was called AIDS in Maine. And we had about 46 cases, mostly men, and they couldn't show their faces, and I had to disguise their voices. But they talked about how it made them an outcast.
AIDS made them an outcast.
And so one of them was in the hospital dying, and his mother saw the show and finally went to him, and she hugged him. And that little thing, that little bitty thing to me was a success. I did a show, an hour-long show called Rape, a Violation of the Soul. And it wasn't about the stories of how things happened to them, but it was the stories of how they overcame what happened to them.
Interesting.
And so at the end of the show, there was a call-in, and a lady said to me, "Miss Fox, I want you to know that I was raped 22 years ago, and in all these years, I've never let my husband see me naked. I have washed my hands thousands of times a day, and I now know that there's a rape crisis center, and I'm going to go talk about it so I don't live as a hostage to this any longer." That's a success.
Definitely.
All of those car seat checks we did, where we worked with the police department and nurses associations and Safe Kids Coalition, and we ran so many car checks, the photographer said, "Do we have to do another car seat check today?" but we were trying to make sure that the kids were riding safely. And I've seen the videos and the pictures of damaged cars with a big tire right up against the car seat and a little kid's face just sitting there as safely as he could be. So I know that that job saved lives. So those are the kinds of successes I lived for.
Very good.
Today, when I'm working with people who think they can't speak, and I have a chance to worked with one guy, he said, I asked him to kind of just stand up straighter and own his big vice presidency position. And he walked down the hall and said, look, I have a neck. And somebody said, it's just a double chin. But he felt really good about himself. You know, you can't buy that. I can't put that in a can, and I can't tell you what I do to them. But I see it happen. And today, that's the thrill of my life. And if I'm in a great big group, and people are laughing and having a good time and thinking that public speaking isn't the dreaded curse of the century, then I think that's a success too.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I understand people, apparently at funerals, some people rather be in the coffin as opposed to having to do the eulogy. So much scared are they?
That's how scared they are. You know, it's
Which is not very rational, to come to think about
not
it.
exactly. Not exactly. You have to be really scared to want that. But they say it's the #1 fear in the world. But
I don't understand it. Even I hear that, I know that for some reason. Maybe I don't have a problem speaking, but that's beside the point.
yeah, I don't
But
know.
it's hard for me to fathom that that's.
All right, here's what I want to say to you. You have a gift. You have the gift of a gab. You have the gift of connecting with people, and you connect others to others. It's really amazing to watch you work. You have this incredible know, like, and trust factor, and you have no fear sharing that. So when you say, I can't understand it, don't belittle what you have in that way, because what you have is really special. Not everybody can do it.
Okay, maybe.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I mean, my daddy made me memorize 1,000 Bible verses and say them on street corners, nursing homes, and jails when I was a little kid. So I've been speaking since then. And there are 16,000 people in Boston Garden, and I had to walk in with a ringmaster and an elephant and blow the whistle and welcome everybody to the circus. I had zero fear. I was high riding on that. That was so much fun. But if you gave me an Excel spreadsheet, I would probably have a stomach ache. I would double up in pain or have a headache. There's certain, or balance my checkbook accurately, but don't tell the IRS that.
I won't.
Things like that. I still am from that math-phobic era for women, and I can't do those things very well. Or somebody asked me if I was going to get the new iPhone 5, and I said, are you out of your mind? There's no learning curve for anything technical left in this brain. I'm sticking with the iPhone 4. I just learned it. So, see, it's just a different thing.
Gotcha.
Different thing. But I think it's a gift that you can just do it so easily. And I have to say, for me, it's a gift too. And I'm not doing the work I'm supposed to do if I'm not somehow sharing that and helping somebody else do it too.
Gotcha.
So,
Very good.
there you go.
All right.
Now, where did you come from?
I'm not sure. Probably from under some stone somewhere. I have to tell you that we had the privilege of having Jane be our MC at last
that was
expo.
so much fun.
Yes, the 8th anniversary. And our next expo is on December 7th. I hope you can stop by.
Oh, you're going to make me put that on my calendar right now.
Got that right. On December 7th, we'll be here in Reston. You can see the slide right there on it. And also, I want to make sure that we put the website, your website there on the screen, so people know to go to your website and contact you as well.
And could I have a commercial while I'm here?
Yes, please.
And you can cut it out if you don't like my commercial, but
That's okay.
here it is. On November 30th, I'm doing a seminar from 10 to 3 at the 1757 Golf Club out at Dulles.
Okay.
And it's called Sharpen Your Speakability, Close More Deals. So if you want to know why it's so important to speak better, to sell more, you just come join us. You'll find it on my website.
Absolutely, check it out, and definitely do attend that event. She did a seminar, went extremely well. In fact, I don't know if I ever told you that I got a rave review on the seminar that he did at last expo.
Oh, at the expo with you?
Yes.
That was a great group.
Yes.
They were so into it, and they did all that interactive thing I was showing you earlier, and it was really a great group. So that was my honor to do that.
No, it was fantastic.
Thank you.
So, yes, we appreciate that. So December 7th, we have another one. Please come on by. We'll be from 9 to 2 o'clock. We are going to have 100 exhibitors there
Oh,
and 400 to 500 business people.
wow.